All right, y'all. That's my mood song right there. That sets the tempo. So I got my salad with me, right? Eating healthy, some carrots, some carrot juice. You know what I'm saying? Carrots are really good for your eyesight. Very good for the retina. So it's good to eat carrots. All right, so real quick, folks, check this out. The first place, right? I want to talk about like your entry points, like to guard and to protect the most vital part of your body, the most vital part. A lot of people will say your vital organs is your heart, the brain, and that's all true and everything. But in terms of spiritualism, right? Your most vulnerable part of your spirit, of your soul, is not your brain, as a lot of people would say, it's your mind, right? The very Bible says put on your helmet. And helmet guards your brain, guards your mind. But the most vital part of your body is not your brain, it's not your mind, it's actually your navel, your belly button. Your belly button is the center of your body. It's, in terms of like its location, it's actually at the center. So from a biological standpoint, it's at the center, right? Your body's geography. In terms of your body's geography, it's located at the center. But that's not only why it's the most important part. That's one of the reasons, because it's the center, right? From there, everything else kind of branches out. It's the center, it's the middle, it's the median, it's what's holding, it's at the very core. But why it's the most vital part is not because it's at the center. The reason why it's the most vital part is more of a mundane or a secular explanation. Because as a baby in the womb, that's the very first place that you receive anything from the external world. When the mother eats food through the umbilical cord into the navel, a baby is getting nutrients, right? So a baby's first access to the outside world is through the navel, right? So from a biological standpoint, all the food, all the nutrients and everything that a baby is going to receive when the mother eats, it's coming in through the navel. Obviously the umbilical cord, but through the navel. So the navel, or the belly button, if you'd like to call it that, the colloquial term, is the very first, your first entry point, or your first exposure, access, interaction with the outside world. First trimester, second trimester, third trimester. Throughout all trimesters, the 3 trimesters, the cycle, the baby's interaction with the outside world is through the navel, as I just mentioned in the aforementioned. So your navel is the very first interaction that you have with the world, right? So that's the first place things from outside the world enter into your body, through your navel. Before your brain is developed, before the heart is developed, your navel is already receiving information from the outside world. So your navel is the center part. It's the most important part of your body from a spiritual standpoint, because that is where everything enters into your body. I'm just going to keep it very simple. Everything enters into your body biologically when you're in the womb through the navel. So now to spiritualize that, that's a biological, a simplistic fundamental, basic biological explanation. But to spiritualize that now, we're all familiar with the when you hear somebody say, think with your gut. Do you get a gut feeling? I got a gut feeling about this. Uh, listen. You know, you hear people say, listen to your heart, right? But that's more of a romantic kind of a saying. The true guide comes from your navel. Your navel, because it is the center of your being, it is therefore the center of your soul. And this is why when, like, if an accident or something happens, a lot of people will grab their stomach. They'll feel, they can say, I felt that in my stomach. Like you feel the fear, or you feel in your stomach, because your navel, again, it is a portal. Spiritualizing it now, it is a portal, because biologically and physically, it's your first gateway, or the first access to you from the outside world. So spiritualizing it, it is a portal that allows the external forces to enter into your spiritual, into your soul, into your being. Your navel is where thought forms enter. That's why they say a lot of the thought forms, which I spoke about in my previous videos, will reside around your navel area, your stomach area, your lumbar area, your waist area, because at the center of your core is your navel. And again, your navel is the first entry point for physical sustenance to enter into your body. Spiritualizing it, it is the exact same thing. It is the first entry point for spiritual entities, forces, and dark energies to enter into your soul, into your spirit. So it's important that if you go into a room and you feel a negative energy, put your hand over your navel. Just hold your hand over your navel. So there's a lot of people that know about this. There's a lot that don't, but there's a lot that people that do know. If you're in the presence of someone and you don't feel comfortable, and their energy is they're emitting, radiating dark or negative vibration, you want to put your hand over your navel. Your hand over your navel is a guard. Okay, it is a guard. It's a gesture that is a physical gesture, but it's also a spiritual barrier. By putting your hand over your navel and you're being conscious and aware why you're putting your hand over your navel, it's no longer your hand that's literally blocking your navel, but it is what your hand represents, which is that spiritual guard, or that spiritual guardrail. So you want to do that because, again, your navel is the portal. Spiritualizing it is a portal that allows entities or energies to enter into your soul, into your spirit. A lot, but we've gone, in this Western culture, we've kind of gone away from. There's nothing that really teaches you about the navel so much. Colleges, our educational system, you're taught about the brain, right? We're all taught about the brain, and we feed the brain. We constantly feed the brain, so the brain grows, it enlarges, it develops, it matures, right? So we're more brain centered, right? We teach a lot about the brain. We even teach about the heart. We learn a lot about our heart, right? The chambers of the heart. We're taught about the lungs, right? But there's not a lot that teach you about your navel. And so we've kind of like moved away in this culture. In other Eastern cultures, and Asian, and they're those who, they're more centered on the navel. They teach more about the navel, less about the brain, less about the lungs, less about the heart. In terms of the important organs and so on and so forth. And our navel, in our culture and in our school system, we really don't talk too much about that. But if you study and you study certain Eastern philosophies, you'll understand that in their culture, the navel is what's the most important thing. And again, it does make sense. It kind of, it's not far-fetched. The teachings is not too, out of this world. Because again, just from a biological standpoint, it's an actual fact that a child, a baby in its mother's womb, its first point of entry into the world, or its first, interaction with the world, is through the navel and the umbilical cord. It's the brain isn't even developed yet. The heart isn't even developed yet. It's the navel is the first thing that's developed, that the baby is now receiving food, nutrients, and sustenance. And the energy of the mother is being conveyed through the umbilical cord into the navel, into that child. So not even just a, but like I said, a physical aspect was the food, but also the energy of the mother. So this is why it's important when during pregnancy, it's important that you guard your chakras. It's important that you guard your aura, because you're transferring that energy through the navel, through the umbilical cord, I mean, into the navel of that child. And that child is receiving that energy. And that energy is going to fashion, form, put that child in formation. So the navel, folks, your belly button, very important stuff. Very, very important stuff. And salad, the salad right here, very important stuff. And carrot juice, salad, and your navel. That's it. Talk to you later. Peace.